Welcome to month 1 lower body workout. If it's your first time or you just need a reminder, stay for the overview. Otherwise, you know the drill, skip to the workout. Today's workout is going to consist of 5 exercises clocking in at about 33 minutes. We're going to do hip thrusts, goblet squats, leg curls, hip abductions, and we're going to finish with reverse crunches. To start, we're going to do hip thrusts, which is going to work our glutes and our hamstrings. Then we're going to move to goblet squats, which is going to work our quads, our glutes, and our adductors, which is that inner thigh area. Then we're going to superset, combine 2 exercises with leg curls first, working our hamstrings, along with hip abductions, which is going to work that glute shelf, that upper outer region of our glutes. And finally, we're going to finish with that ab exercise, those reverse crunches, which is going to work that 6-pack area. Now, our first exercise is going to be the hip thrust. And you're going to see me load this using a dumbbell. And because it's a little uncomfortable to have that dumbbell, I'm actually going to use a blanket, but you can use a towel or really anything to put there, give you a little extra padding. Now, if you don't have a dumbbell or a barbell or anything that's heavy enough, you can always load it with a band. Very simply, loop it around your feet like this, pull it up, get it nice and tight there, and now we're hip thrusting. If you need a little extra, you can always use additional bands or bigger bands or a combination of the two. Now, remember, in the hip thrust, all we're trying to do is extend our hips without overarching our back. But for some people, the hip thrust might be a little bit difficult, especially at the start, because it's not really a movement that you're necessarily used to. So you can always start off with just a simple glute bridge, which is the same movement. We're just going to start from the floor here like this. And now we're extending up again, not overarching our back, and it's basically the same thing. With this, you could still use a dumbbell or a band. Just remember that with a glute bridge, you may feel like you have to kind of push that weight up just a little bit in order to keep it from sliding down your body. The next exercise is going to be a goblet squat with our heels elevated. In the video, you're going to see me using a dumbbell and having my feet on these 5-pound plates. But if you don't have plates, you could use pretty much anything to elevate your feet. Whether you have squat wedges or a dumbbell like this, something that's not going to shift around, maybe even a book. Now, in order to load this exercise, we want to hold that weight nice and tight to our chest. And as we're moving up and down, we want to try to keep those hips under us and that torso as vertical as possible. If you don't have a dumbbell or you don't have a dumbbell that's heavy enough, you can always use a band. And in order to load this, you can actually use the band in 2 separate ways. The first way, which is a little bit easier, is to put that band around your feet like this, bring it up nice and tight, get it right under your chin, just like you normally would, and that's going to load that top part a little bit better. You can also flip that band around, grab the 2 sides like this, get them up nice and tight, and now we're going. That's going to make that band a little bit tighter, make that exercise a little bit harder. If adding extra weight is too difficult, you can always just start with body weight. And if you're having a little bit of trouble with stabilization, you can simply get your hand on a wall or a pole, something like that, as you're going up and down to give yourself a little bit more stability. If you don't have enough weight and you feel like the exercise is a little too easy, you can actually do 1.5 reps, which is going down all the way, coming up halfway, going back down, coming back up, and that's 1 rep. The first exercise of our superset is going to be a foam roller leg curl. And in the video, you're going to see me using just a basic foam roller, laying down. And remember, on this exercise, the entire time we want to keep those hips extended without arching our back and just moving at the knee like this as we squeeze our glutes and really focus on keeping those hips extended. Now, this exercise is very, very difficult. One of the best ways to regress this exercise is to use negatives. What I mean by that is getting your feet all the way in, coming up, and then slowly lowering yourself down until you're out of motion here, dropping back down, pulling those feet back in, coming up, slowly going out like that. However, if you don't have a foam roller, you can always go to a surface that's pretty slick, like a wood floor or a tile floor, something like that, and you can use a towel under your feet like this to kind of move around, paper plates, really anything that will slide along that surface. The second exercise of our superset is going to be a standing hip abduction, where we're standing up and just trying to kick our foot away from our body without turning our hips or kicking too high where our back starts to arch. We want to keep that foot turned out. And in the video, you're going to see me with a band around my ankles here, to give myself a little bit of additional resistance, something like this. Now, if you don't have these kinds of bands, you can always just use a traditional band like this, looping it around, getting our foot in there just like that. Just remember that with these kinds of bands, it's gonna be pretty difficult. So you wanna start with the lightest band you have to begin. Now, if bands are too difficult for you to start with, you can always just do a body weight movement at the beginning in order to work yourself up to additional weight. And if you don't have any bands at all, you can always use a bench or a couch or something like that, lay down like this, get that foot behind you here, and kick up just like that, potentially adding weight over time with ankle weights or something like that in order to give you additional resistance. Our last exercise is gonna be reverse crunches. We're simply laying down here and we're trying to bring our feet towards us as we curl ourselves up and lower ourselves back down, making sure that as we come back down, we don't arch that back. We keep that back in contact with the ground the entire time, stopping when you feel it's about to come off the floor. Now, if this movement is too easy for you, which is probably very few of you, but if it's too easy, you can always straighten your legs and do that same thing. But for most people, it's probably going to be too hard, at least at the start. So there's a couple of ways that we can make it a little bit easier for us. First one is to just do negatives. I love negatives. Coming here, supporting yourself, and slowly lowering yourself down like that. If that's too hard or it's uncomfortable for any reason, you can always do chair reverse crunches. Get yourself on a surface, a chair, a couch, a bench, anything you have. Get your hands placed nice and tight here, and now we can crunch up just like this. Again, making sure we're not arching our back, we're keeping it nice and round so that we engage that core, going just like this. And if that's too hard for you at the very beginning, you can always set it up against a wall or a pole, something like that, to give yourself a little bit of back support and do that same thing until your abs are strong enough to hold you without that additional support. All right, let's get to it. That's it. You made it. Remember, eat enough to fuel your body. Try to prioritize protein and whole foods if you can. And remember to work your heart and your lungs, whether that's through another form of exercise like yoga or Pilates, playing with your kids, or simply taking a walk.